Hi, this video is going to give you an overview of the Ebola virus. So what we see is an image of the Ebola virus, and a virus is non-living, but it does have genetic material. And viruses typically survive by injecting their genetic material into living cells, and then they hijack the cells in order to make them virus-making factories. And that's basically what the Ebola virus does as well. So you see here, if we look at the far left, we see a virus. And this virus is not Ebola virus, but it reproduces in a similar way. So we have the virus, and what happens is that it attaches to the outside of a host cell. And the host cell basically is tricked into uh, letting the virus into the cell. And then once the virus is inside of the cell, then it will release its genetic material. And Ebola virus is an RNA virus, so its genetic material is in the form of RNA as opposed to DNA. And then two things happen to this genetic material. First, one thing that happens is that the RNA is copied. So you can see these strands of RNA. And then some of the RNA is transformed into mRNA, which is then read by the ribosomes, and the ribosomes read the mRNA to make more of the viral proteins. And these viral proteins are going to make the outside of the new viruses, as well as the attachment proteins that allow it to attach to other cells. And so you can see this cell is becoming a factory for making more of the virus. And the copies of the RNA are placed into these protein capsules of the virus, and then the newly created viruses are released. Many times the cell explodes and it dies as a result of releasing these viruses, and then these viruses are free to infect other cells, and the cycle happens over and over again. Here's a long list of symptoms of Ebola. Many of them are non-specific, like fevers and lack of appetite and pain, weakness that you will associate with other viruses. Ebola virus is known for the hemorrhaging that it causes. There are other viruses that also cause hemorrhaging. So there's internal bleeding and bleeding from the eyes and ears and other openings in the body. And this is happening because the cells that line different organs and different body parts are being destroyed by the virus. This virus is fatal. Depending on the species, this virus can be about 50% fatal. So it's a very high death rate. You can see this graph showing the current outbreak of Ebola, but there's been past outbreaks in Ebola. Right now, we know of 5 different species of Ebola. 4 of them are known to infect humans, while 1 infects monkeys and other non-human primates. And you can see from the current epidemic that it's mostly located in Western Africa. There are a handful of cases in other places, but you can see it's concentrated right here in Western Africa. And bats are thought to be the reservoir for this virus. And what happens is that the bats can handle high loads of the virus without dying. And so this virus is reproducing in bats, and they're staying in high numbers in bats. And when the bats come in contact with other wild animals, it can jump to different species. So it can jump to non-human primates as well as other wild animals. And then humans who come in contact with either the bats or the non-human primates or other wild animals, if they come in contact with the bodily fluids of these infected animals, then the virus can jump to humans. For example, hunters and those who prepare the food of these animals that are being hunted could get infected. And then they can pass it on to other people who are in close contact with them. You get the virus from coming in close contact with the bodily fluids of humans who are symptomatic. So it's not airborne. It's not from sitting next to them. It's not from being on the train with infected people. But the people who are infected have to be symptomatic, and you have to come in close contact with their fluids. There's a 21-day incubation period, so someone could have the virus without knowing. And typically, those who are in close contact with human fluids are, of course, the medical providers, the caretakers, and any family members who may handle the body for funeral arrangements are most at risk. There's no cure and no vaccine so far. And in terms of treatment, right now we can only provide symptomatic treatment, so replacing bodily fluids and electrolytes. But the immune system of the infected person has to do the heavy lifting. And so, in a nutshell, that is the Ebola virus. Thanks.